Tiger's back. White Tiger is back. You're fired. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. Here I am, your neighborhood-friendly coach, your neighborhood-friendly trainer, promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack, primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome to Midday Weekday, baby.
Well, what's up, man? I thought like being a teacher and being off for the summer was going to be like this relaxing experience, and it has been anything but. It is. It's been hot. It's been a list of honeydews around the house. I've been going back and forth to Yarrington and picking up truckloads of rock to bring to my house to do some landscaping in the backyard. And this is the first day I've come out here and just sit here and as an escape almost. You can see just in the background shot right around here the reflection of the fan that is just overhead. I'm just like, I'm hot. I'm like, I gotta get the outdoor fan going so it can circulate some air. That way I can cool down a little bit. I can tell that I'm almost 50 years old because just shoveling rock and throwing it into the back of my truck. My hamstrings are hurting today. My lower back's hurting. I was talking to my daughters who went out and helped me. I was like, how you guys feeling today? It's like, feeling fine. Why? What's going on? It's like, I don't know. I'm just really sore. 2 hours of manual labor yesterday just took it out of me. And I think on so we're just doing.
Uh-oh. The show is paused early on. This is a first for me. I don't know what to do. Shake your phones, everybody.
Something happened. I don't know.
There it is.
I see a
Manuel labor.
I was gonna say I see a what looks like a low signal on my side here, so I don't know what's going on. But
yeah, your mouth isn't matching up, man. It's like this kid Johnny Fuego said at class, "My dad told me so," and then he went. That's Big Paul's new character, new lucha character, Manuel Labor. And he's coming to the ring with the shovel, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a tool belt on and a hard hat, and he's ready to get down to business. Yeah, I'm still in the same location, Central Heating and Air. I used to do windows back in the day, so I see that beautiful 4x2 grid. That beautiful 4x2 grid single hung slider behind you. Probably could use a couple new springs and a little bit of WD-40. I think Manuel Labor can handle that. By the way, you must be talking about a new movie review, a new movie you're going to be in, because we're successful podcasters. We're successful promoters, coaches, trainers, and professional wrestlers. There's no way that we're taking a break to be shoveling rock from Yarrington, Nevada. And speaking of rocking things out, I was watching Raw and I was watching all the Fatal 4-Ways. And we always see three-way dances, but we never see too many three-way elimination matches. And I started thinking, like, why don't we see three-way elimination matches? Why don't we see four-way elimination matches? And it made me realize, as I started thinking, well, the reason we need the Fatal 4-Way with one fall is because we got to figure out how to get guys on, get them exposure. But now let's talk about the reality of how you have to book one of these things. So let's just paint a scenario here. Let's paint a scenario of a baby face that's returning to a company. Let's paint another scenario of another baby face who maybe on the indies can only make this one booking. And you know my thoughts on bookings. I don't like to just book people to book people. I like to do something with them. And then let's take a heel, and then let's take another guy that we want that we're getting over, but we can't get him over tonight because someone's coming back and that person can't return, right? So we're using a four-way as an example of some booking here because I've seen so many four-ways. So first off, when we look at the four-way, we have to say, all right, who needs to go over? Who needs the victory, right? So let's just say you have somebody coming back. Well, you can't build this person up and bring them back if they're not going to get the victory, right? So then we say we got another guy in the match that we've been pushing a little bit. Well, we don't want him to take the fall, and we want him to look strong, but we want him to he can't be involved in the fall, right? So you got a guy you're pushing. So then you got to look at the third person that we're talking about in a four-way. This is a guy that is on sporadically on shows. So if he takes the fall, it doesn't do nothing for the guy who pins it. And for him, as long as he showcases what he does and he's not involved in the fall, then you're not killing off him at all with his character. So he can technically come back sporadically here and there because he hasn't taken the defeat. Now you got a heel. You got the heel in the match. So whether it's flipped around or vice versa, you want the reliable guy who hasn't really been pushed much, and you want the guy who has to win, and you want him to get that victory over this guy so that now you have this heel and this baby face that have something moving forward. And it works better if that baby face gets the victory and the heel is pissed off about it. And now we got something for the undercard that we can start building for these guys. So I just wanted to get your thought, man, because I've seen so many four-ways going on. And what the four-way represents to me, especially why we're not having elimination, because if we had elimination, it would have to come down to two guys. And people would have to get beat. And when you do the four-way, when you do these multi-man matches with only one fall or one submission, what you're doing is you're allowing everybody to get out there. You're allowing guys to get over, but you're also protecting certain people from having to take a pinfall or a submission.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? We want to try to get people onto the card, but at the same time, it's not a guy that needs a win or a guy that you don't want to beat either. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility with that. So yeah, and like you said, like if you made it an elimination, then it's like, okay, well, three of these guys need to get beat somehow, and maybe you don't want to have some of these guys, lay down, as they say, right? You won't want to have these guys go out on their back in this particular match. So it's kind of a good scenario where you can get some people, maybe like you said, kind of, reintroduce somebody, get them back on your card. And obviously we have those guys that, they show up sporadically. Boyce LeGrand comes to mind. We've talked about him over and over, that he's got his, he's got his bookings close to home, that he's, very reliable with. And, that's where he kind of, he's got his role there where he's really helping try to elevate guys and be in the locker room and share his knowledge. So yeah, so I know that, and that's obviously Boyce is a good guy to have in those type of matches, because I constantly talk about having someone in a match that if it starts going to shit, someone can kind of reel it back in and get everybody back on the same page. So definitely a guy that I think you can have in those type of matches that can help orchestrate everything and keep everyone on the same page. I think Rick is the same type of guy. Like, definitely a guy that can pull everyone together and kind of get things back on track without things, looking silly.
Well, there's that glitch again. Hopefully it comes back. I just going womp. Well, I can't hear Paul right now. We're having some technical difficulties here in the multi-million-dollar studios that have been provided by the Quack Attack at the Stream Yard, ladies and gentlemen. So when Paul gets back here in just a second, I'm going to paint another beautiful picture for him as we wait. We got a lot coming up, ladies and gentlemen. As we wait for this, July 12th in Oroville, California, Pro Championship Wrestling presents Pandemonium. The Inter-California Championship will be on the line. It's now me by myself. The Inter-California Championship will be on the line as the bad boy Boyce LeGrand hangs that championship high above the ring and takes on Oakland's son Surza and the Dark Fox Illumide in a three-way ladder match. We haven't had a ladder match in PCW in a very long time. Also, don't forget, as we're waiting for Paul to get back here, are you the next PCW superstar living the dream? Even if you're a professional wrestler, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you want to get free training at another school to better yourself? Next Sunday, June 29th at 11 a.m. If you think you got what it takes, if you want to better yourself in pro wrestling, Paul's back, ladies and gentlemen. Paul is back. And
I don't know what happened. I got a message from the StreamYard. It's like, if you just lost service, it might be on our end. That's like,
I didn't lose nothing. We're painting that scenario. Another thing I wanted to talk about is we talk about the indies all the time, and I've run into this situation. You got a young kid, a young talent. You want to give them a push, right? You want to give them a rub. And I've had this situation happen here recently where you got the guy booked for 2 shows. The shows are 2 to 3 weeks apart, and you're gonna get him the big push at the first event, and then you're gonna keep that momentum rolling at the second event. But then that person cancels the first event, but you still got him for the second event. So it makes it hard in the booking when you're talking to a talent where you're like, hey, man, I need to get you a couple wins. I need to get you rolling. And you're ready to get this guy rolling, and they can't make the first booking. So then you got them for the second booking, but you're like, man, I needed you at the first booking to get rolling, but you still keep them on at the second booking. That kind of deters what we're doing with the talent, man. So I've run into it a lot with championships over the years of booking, where you tell someone, and I always bring you up in this scenario when me and you were working, but you tell a guy the plan and you lay it out for him over a span of time, and you say, hey, this is where I want to start it. This is where we want to go, and I want to end this with you winning said belt, right? Like whatever belt we got. And the guy misses a key booking, or the guy just falls off the map for a couple shows, and you go, your plans change. And sometimes they fast forward, sometimes they completely change. Sometimes you have to rewind it back and go back even further and delay things. But a lot of people don't realize, as a promoter, we're not lying to you when we say this is what we want to do with you. So I have to be very clear with the talent now. One thing I'm very clear about is, who are you? What do you do? What are your plans here? Do you want to do something here, or just do you want a booking? Because if you just want a booking, something might open up on a Limelight show or back when we had prospects, and I can get you out there and get one of my guys or somebody I'm pushing over on you and get you a little bit of exposure. But the thing I'm talking about is I've dealt with so many guys in the past that are like, man, you lied to me. You said I was going to win this belt or this was going to happen. And I said, no, I said, here's the layout, man. Here's the storyboard, how we're going to get there. I just need you to show up. So for young talent out there, if you have a promoter, if you have a Zack Reeb, if you have a Big Ugly, a Paul, a Sir Samurai, Scoot Robertson, Vinny Massaro, whoever, if you have a promoter who has a plan for you, he's got shows booked out, he's got a plan for you, and you don't make a booking, what we tell you, it changes. I've never changed anything on anybody because they showed up.
Right, exactly. And I think I always hear your frustration when it comes to this type of stuff where, because I feel like you're very much like, you have these stories that you've got planned out to go for, months up into, a year or more. And, the frustration with somebody, a lot of times it's somebody gets hurt. Or, I mean, you book high profile guys. So, a lot of times they get an opportunity somewhere else as well. So, which is, it's a blessing and a curse for you, booking high profile guys, right? You're going to have high profile guys on your show, for as long as they can make it. But then at some point they're going to get an opportunity that they can't pass up, where they're like, all right, I got to take this other booking, because it could lead to something big for me. So wanting to do that, like I said, double-edged sword there. But yeah, I mean, when you have those long-term stories that you want to run with, it's awesome, because especially when you get to the end of the story and you see that it got to play out and everything you got to do with the story. And then you can look back at it as a whole and go, wow, man, all that stuff. Like I think about like photos from you and Dickie when he was really young, right? And seeing that play out when you kind of get to where you guys are at right now. And you're like, man, how much thought went into this? Was it just circumstances that you had all this stuff? Or I think for you, it's like, you're always just getting tidbits of stuff just in case, right? If something happens, this would be cool footage to be able to use and things like that. So I always like that type of stuff. And but yeah, when you have those guys that you count on and you want to put into storylines long term, and then just in the middle, oh hey, I'm not going to be able to make this one booking out of the 10 that you needed me for. It's like, shit, man, it throws a little wrench in the cogs. And now you got to make some sort of adaptation to try to figure it out. And can we, use that missed booking to up the story, or to plant a seed somewhere to go further with this thing. And maybe, if you're creative, then maybe that makes the story better. Working that missed booking into there, to tell a bigger story later, or expand the story or something like that. So, it's always cool to see that, right? Something pops up that you didn't expect, but you make the best of it and it ends up being better.
That has happened quite a bit lately as I as I look back on it. One thing that I always look at it to show is I like to run things back. Like, I know a lot of people just book, and I've had some problems with people in the back, not in the back, but that have assisted in booking before, because I like to run things back and go back to things down the road, because characters change, motives change, good guy, bad guy, things change in personalities. And I like to go back to things and the two characters, the two competitors, because it builds a rivalry, right? And that's one thing that we don't see a lot of in pro wrestling anymore, is competitive rivalries that last over years. Like when we just saw the John Cena, Randy Orton thing. And it's like booking names One time we booked Al Snow and he had to cancel. So you got this flight. Now you have a year to pay for this flight to get this guy back down here. So if you don't get him on that flight within the next 365 days of that booking, then you're just shit out of luck on that. So booking names can be stressful because what if they get called up to AEW or WWE? What if like you said, something bigger comes up? And for you young guys out there, if you're working for a promoter that's willing to spend money to bring somebody in for you to work, take advantage of that. That's one thing that I'm very blessed for. Gabe Ramirez and Roland Alexander and Jason Dedrich. Those guys always brought in very expensive fly-ins for me to work. And I made sure I went out there and I got the most out of each and every opportunity that those guys gave me, man. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about was lining everything up, accountability, making sense. So John Cena literally had to be in a Royal Rumble. And then he lost to Jey Uso at the end. And then he had to come back and get in a pod and risk his life limb so he could get a shot at the championship on his farewell tour at WrestleMania. And then he had this, right afterwards, he sold his fucking soul to The Rock and turned on all his fans just so he could get his title shot and become the champion. And then I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and fucking Goldberg comes out and walks right up to Gunther over something that happened 8 months ago in Atlanta, Georgia, where Gunther said something to his son. And Goldberg literally walked in the fucking ring and said, "I'll see you in Atlanta, Georgia at Saturday night's main event. You're next." And Goldberg literally just walked in the ring after not wrestling for fucking God knows how long and just walked up to the champ and said, "Saturday night's main event, my hometown. Oh, and you're also putting the belt on the line." Who the fuck is Bill Goldberg, and how the fuck does this make any sense?
Well, I mean, as you're explaining it, it sounds like it makes perfect sense because you just talked about how you like to do callbacks. And it's like, so now you have this reason that I want to fight this guy. I don't know why the title's on the line, but it's like, you disrespected my son or whatever it was. And obviously it's pro wrestling. You can twist anything, any direction that you want, who knows what was said and all this different stuff. But, you can make something out of whatever you want, so something that's disrespectful on some level because it's pro wrestling and you can take anything the wrong way. Right. So yeah, I mean, if that's the case, there's some sort of callback and now you're fighting for your, the honor of your son and and it just happens to be for the championship. Yeah. So I don't know, man. But
Jey Uso don't get a rematch. He's over his shit.
Hey,
He's the king of the ring semifinals for the men is all baby faces. Right. Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso. We better have a bad guy champion over here. Speaking of that, man, I've been watching a lot of crap since Netflix has come on, and brother, this Bailey and Becky Lynch stuff, I'm having a hard time watching it. And I keep bringing it up on podcasts, and I keep going, oh my God, these women are in the ring, and they're giving them a lot of time on the mic, and the crowd is sitting on their hands. They're like numbing their hands up. I don't know if they want to act like when they jerk off that it's a complete stranger touching them. But Bailey's in the ring, and she literally comes out and says, it's not about Becky attacking her and taking her spot at WrestleMania, because it's not about WrestleMania. It's not about championships. It's about you fans here in Green Bay. And I was like, but then she calls Becky out to come on out. I dare you to come out. You're going to get a good old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping because you took my spot at WrestleMania. And my mind is being blown here. in this 10 minutes of wasted life that I will never get back. And I'm going, you just said it wasn't about WrestleMania. It's not about championships. It's about the beautiful fans in Title Town. And then you get your ass out here because I'm gonna lick it. I'm gonna lick that ass all over this ring because you took my spot at WrestleMania. It's like, is it about WrestleMania or is it not about WrestleMania? You're saying it's not, but apparently it is. And then now we got, and I don't know what happened to Becky Lynch, man. But Becky Lynch, I don't know if it was the kid. I don't know if it was that dramatic amount of weight loss. I used to love Becky in NXT, and now I'm watching her, and I'm just like, my God, I slow the fuck down. That's what I'm thinking in my head when I'm watching this professional making way more money than I'll probably ever make in my life. I'm just going, slow the fuck down, Becky, please. What are your thoughts on we're on national television and we are in the same breath on the microphone, we're contradicting ourselves, and it's confusing the fuck out of me.
Of course, and you wonder, like you heard for so many years how everything was very scripted when it come to cutting promos. Like people are having to remember verbatim these long promos. So you wonder if there's a lot of did they give them a lot of freedom, and now this is the reason that you go, you see, that's why they had to script these promos, because they give you very concise points to hit, rather than now you're confused, like, is this really the issue that you just said is not the issue, but now you're saying it is? You're going around in circles, and I'm wondering what's actually happening. Like, is it based off of this scenario or is it not? Right. So, so many people talked about that being a big issue. Like, oh, they didn't give us any freedom. Back in the day, they used to just give you bullet points and tell you go out there because you're a professional and you'll get it done. But, this gives me the impression that maybe you need to go back to scripted promos, so you get across exactly what you're trying to get across. There's no mixed signals and, fans going, is it about this issue or is it not? You just said it's not, but then now you're saying it is. What is it? Where are we going with this?
It's still scripted.
Oh, well, that's the shits.
Who's ever writing this shit for these women and these men are making absolutely no sense.
Right.
Like 0 sense whatsoever of what they're writing on there. And that's just something that blows my mind and baffles me in this wrestling business. I've heard so many people, and it's the old school way, right? And they say, I'm the booker. This is my company. This is what you're going to do. If you don't like it, you can hit the fucking road and go somewhere else. And I think that prehistoric mindset is the worst mindset that you can have in this business. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I talk to my talent. Even if it's talent that I'm bringing in for the first time. If you don't like what I'm presenting to you and you agree to do it, there is a 99.9% chance it's going to come off like shit. It's going to fail. And if you don't like what I have for you and me as a promoter goes, you're going to fucking do it anyways. It's a 99.9% chance it's going to fail. We have to realize, and this is where the growth is, we have to talk to this talent, young and old. We have to say, hey, do you like this? Do you not like this? Do you have any ideas? Because if we're going to get the most out of our talent, they have to be 100% on board with what they're doing. Because if they're not on board with what they're doing or they don't give a fuck, then that's somebody you don't want to work for if you can't get on board with their idea. And if that person doesn't give a shit, what you have them doing with no opinion, just pay me, get me out of here. That's not somebody that I want around working for my company.
Right. And I think it goes back to where you would hear people talk about that. Like, give me a character that I can really sink my teeth into and I can get into, right? That I feel like I'm going to make the best out of this this character. Don't give me something that I go, oh, that character's shitty. You hear about Steve Austin talking about the ringmaster, and it's like, a good mechanic, but not much there. Just trying to make the best of it, and things like that. But always in the back of his mind, thinking about like, what can I do to sway this character in the direction that I want it to go, and going away from the different colors and going kind of back to the the solid black stuff that he wanted to do, and just continuing trying to do what the promoter's asking you to do, but still putting your own ideas out there, just like you just said. Can you give me some suggestions? Because hopefully, you know your character better than everyone else. So if someone says, hey, here's what I want you to do, then you can say, hey, you know what? My character would do that a little bit differently. Here's how I think my character would do it. And hopefully you get on the same page with the promoter, and you say, you know what you're saying as a talent makes a little bit more sense. I like that. Let's run with it like that. And then as a talent, then you go, hey, I put my own spin on this because this is the way that I view it. So hopefully you're going to get behind it, and you're really going to do a good job doing that character, and you can kind of go in the right direction that your character would go in your mind. So it's like, so these are my ideas, and I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, and the promoter's on board with it. He likes the way that I want to do it. So I think that's the way that you got to do it. And you're talking about having communication with your talent, and obviously that's exactly how you do it, right? You have those conversations of, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think, right? And it's a collaboration between the promoter and the talent to make the best of the situation, right? We don't want to go, yeah, hey, you're the promoter, we're going to do it exactly that way. I'm not going to give you any type of insight at all. This is supposed to be a collaboration, because the more these things work, the more the crowd is going to be growing, and things like that. So it's going to benefit both parties, because obviously we're on the same page when it comes to, if there's a big draw, I don't give a shit what I told you I was going to pay you. I told you this at the Winnemucca show, the mentality of, if I eat, we eat. Like our whole roster is going to benefit from having a larger draw, right? Because in my mind, it's because of what we're doing collectively to put this thing together, right? For us, for Winnemucca, it's been this collective effort of, doing the best while we're out there, giving this crowd and this town the best performances we can, where they go, yeah, hey, that's worth this much money to us, or what can we do not to lose this chunk that everybody really likes? So obviously we have to do that collectively as a group, with promoters and the talent together, to try to make the most of what we're doing, and make it as entertaining as possible, where the fans are going to want to come back, and not only just come back, but they're going to say, man, I really had a great time. I'm going to tell other people, and not only am I going to come back, but the next time I come back, I'm going to bring a handful of people with me, and next thing you know, you're getting your 50 fans turns into 100, turns into 200, turns into 500, and then 1,000, and then you're trying to find a larger venue that can accommodate that stuff.
Could you you know why Steve Austin was called the Ringmaster, right?
I don't know exactly. I just know that he was talking about how he was a good worker, and that was kind of it. Like, I'm the master of the ring because I can.
That's what he told Vince.
You know,
I'm the master in that ring. And Vince McMahon went, oh, he's the master in the ring. He's the ring master. I wonder if Duke the Dumpster Drosy walked in there and was like, back in the day in Pensacola, Florida, I used to be a garbage man. And he was like, that's it. The Dumpster. I used to play hockey when I was a kid. The Goon. We're really into like futuristic Futurama. Troy and Travis, Techno Team 2000. You got any Indian heritage in you? Tatanka, the Native American. I would love as a rib to like get a whole bunch of new talent. Like, well, I think what I'm going to start doing now, just as a joke when I talk to everybody, just to appease myself and make myself laugh, is when I talk to somebody, said wrestler, and I go, hey man, like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they go, well, I was a driving instructor for a high school kid. That's it. That's it. You're a high school driving instructor teacher. 1-800 teach me to drive. You know what I mean? Played a little bit of pickleball back in high. That's it. You're a pickleball player. Like, and then just come up with a name. Because I think one time someone told me they used to do sprint cars, like the sprint car racing. And that's where I was fucking with them. And I said, man, that would be a great gimmick. I said, do you remember Bob Sparkplug Holly or Thurman Sparky Plug? One of the two. He played both of them. But they're like, oh, yeah, the NASCAR driver. I said, yeah, but this is going to be Gold Cup sprint cars because that's what you do. He goes, okay. And I said, and your name's going to be, how about your nickname be Smokey? And he's like, oh, I love it. Smokey. Yeah. But that's going to be your nickname. Your first name is going to be Bud Pole. I said, and he said, Bud Pole? I said, yeah, say it. Bud Smokey Pole is what I told this guy. And he started laughing. And I played it off for a while like I was serious. But on a serious note now, everybody, you young guys out there, it's not going to work. It really isn't going to work unless, and it's not that you have to have, I need 100% creative control of what I'm doing. It's just you have to have some input. Some input. If you don't like a name, if you don't like a nickname, if you don't, you gotta like what you're doing, and you have to be able to talk to the promoter. If the promoter is not talking to you about stuff like that, and I always used to tell my guys, man, if you walk up to a promoter and say, hey, I've been here for a couple shows now, what do you got planned for me in the future? And they don't know. I mean, there's a good chance, unless you're just cool with just showing up and getting some work, get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like, if there's no direction for you, if you ask, I mean, that's one of the reasons I left APW. I'd been down there for so long, and I went up after, me and Rick put over Adam and Luster, and it was over. And I remember the week before I had asked Johnny LaRocca, I said, what's the plan moving forward? And he said, I don't know. I don't really got nothing yet, but we'll figure something out. And that was the first time in the 5-6 years that I was loyal to that company, working with Gabe exclusively, which was amazing, working with Roland and spending a lot of time with them. I learned so much from those guys, but most importantly, they were willing to listen to me. We talked a lot. We came up with a lot of ideas. They were never against anything, or even especially hearing an idea. But that was the first time. It was odd to me because it rang different in my ear, because I always knew, or we always were talking about what was going to go on next with the Mr. Primetime MPT character. And here came the end and a change in the booker. And I remember asking, what's going on? And it was, oh, well, I got nothing right now, but we'll figure it out. And for me, that was my cue, man. I've overstayed my welcome. You don't know what to do with me. Time for me to head back home. Time for me to really focus on myself and PCW. And as a wrestler, you have to have that mindset right there. You got to be thinking. I was talking to a guy. I was actually talking to a wrestler, and he's a real serious wrestler. And the wrestler he was wrestling had like a dancing type of character. Well, he didn't know this. So me, when I walk into a locker room, I go up to everybody and I ask them, I say, hey, what do you do? What's your character? Do you do anything cool? And he said, well, I'm kind of a dancer. I'm kind of a stripper. And I was like, oh shit, I got it right away. So I went up to the other competitor and gave him kind of like the scoop, like, hey man, that guy you're wrestling, he's a stripper, he's a dancer. So when you get in the locker room, if you're in a locker room, you young guys, man, and you don't know what everybody's character is, go around, introduce yourself, have a little brief conversation with everybody, and get just a little quick insight to them. Like, are you a bad guy? Are you a good guy? What kind of moves do you do? What does your character do? Because you don't know if next month or if somebody cancels tonight, you're going to be working that guy. And if you're going to a show blindly into the locker room to start talking about your match, and you're not asking this person, what type of a character do you play? I mean, you don't know. And I've always done that. I've always walked up. Are you the type of guy that if you don't know someone, you'll walk up, even if you're not working them in a company you work for, and you ask them, like, what's your deal? What do you do?
I don't think I'm that guy. I don't think I get that too far into it. I ask the guy that I'm working with those type of questions, because I want to figure out like what type of stuff can you do to get out of my stuff, like what type of, like, and how can I maybe figure out a way to get to something that you like to do as well. So I think I'm always more concerned with the guy that I'm working with. But I think that's excellent advice. I think that's a pretty cool thing to do, because I think for the most part, I've always been really surprised. Like, I try to watch as many matches as I can on every card. So I'm normally just surprised when I see somebody, a new character, so it's always something that catches me off guard. Right. And I think it's, for maybe in my mindset, it's that I don't want to know, like, especially like finishes, right? I want to be a fan when I'm watching the match. I want to watch it from a fan's perspective. And then obviously if someone asks me like, hey, can you watch it and critique it? Then you look at it with maybe a different set of glasses. But for the most part, I think I like to watch the matches as a fan and say, like, would I be a fan of this guy? Would I hate this guy? What would I think of as a fan? Am I entertained? Is this guy somebody that I would pay money to see? Things like that. So, yeah, I don't think I guess, like, for me, I figured that I could probably just go out there and on the fly kind of make things work. But the way that you're kind of explaining it, I guess it would really work, because it's like, you never know. Like, is the guy that I'm wrestling gonna cancel? Did they get hurt? Do they need to put somebody else in our match because the person that they were gonna work canceled? So they have this person here, so they're like, well, we got to do something with them. So yeah, so that's excellent advice to go around and introduce yourself to people that you don't know who they are and what their gimmick is. I feel like so many times you're in a locker room and you already know everybody. So that's not as important because you already kind of know what everybody does. But yeah, for the guys that are going to a brand new promotion, or you're going to a promotion that's bringing people in, I feel like we kind of fit into that category where we're trying to bring in different people that I always think it's to help out everybody else, right? I want you to have the experience of working with this guy who's been around, or bringing some new guys in and helping them get better. I always think about this podcast and the reason that we started doing it. Ironically, somebody just asked me this question. I think it was Larry just asked me this question yesterday. Like, why did you guys even start that podcast? Like, what was the goal? And I said, well, I think it was just, we had thrown the ideas around. Like, there's so many things that we that we don't like about the wrestling business and what's going on. And like we feel like it's kind of getting a little out of control with how many schools there are and, lackluster training and things like that. But ultimately, it's on the positive side. It's how do we fix that stuff? How do we help these guys not do that stuff? And how do we help the business progress or maybe get it back to where it was when we first started and what made us fall in love with it. But so I mean, bringing guys in to try to help them and pair them with someone who's better than them is always kind of been my goal. But the walking around the locker room and talking to everyone about what they do and not just the moves, but what does your character do? What is your gimmick? A little bit of an explanation about it. I think that's a fantastic suggestion for some of these guys for sure.
I've always been interested in everything. I've always been interested in the booking. I've always been interested in how we build a program, how we get a payoff. What is a heel? What is the baby face? Why are we doing this? It's really cool because I've been talking to some of these guys from out of state, and I talk to a lot of people when we book them, and I ask them for promo pics or, hey, film this, and I'll get my production team to put together a vignette or something, and they send me stuff, and I immediately go, hey, man, I need the camera closer. I need you both here. Well, there's no, and I continually ask why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then I just end up telling the guys, and I say, hey, just show up at the show and we'll take care of you. My team will take care of you. We'll get the lighting. We'll get the perfect. And I really started realizing how many people didn't know what stock footage was. I think I got in an argument one time with a female who ran another entertainment style show, and she was telling me what stock footage was, and I'm like, well, no, this is stock footage. And she's like, nope, that's not stock footage. And I said, well, I've worked with a lot of people that have worked with Vince in the WWE, and I've spent a lot of time, and this is what stock footage is in professional wrestling. And a lot of people don't know what that was. And Prospects was that was fun for me in Prospects because guys didn't know how to cut promos. Guys didn't know how long to go, how short to keep it. And then what I'm really excited about in Limelight, and I was talking about it on that radio interview, is I said, we're going to start the show at 7 and we're going to end the some bitch at 9. And maybe we go over, we don't, but I mean, everything that we've been working on since the pandemic with these promos and stock and times and go home here and putting the right people in the ring together, it's going to be really cool next Friday because for the first time ever, we're actually going to produce and run this thing like it's a live iPay-per-view or something, or a live feed on the internet, because it's, man, so I'm in the main event against Bad News, and I want to, as the guy, I have specifically put myself in that situation to see if I'm good enough, if I can execute well. Because if we start this thing at 7, by the time we get to the main event, what if it's we got Angle we got to run after? So what if it's 8:50 and we haven't come out the curtain yet? Then I'm like, oh shit. With entrances, we got to get to the ring quick because we got less than 10 minutes to do our bit and get to this finish and get it over by 9, where the referee will be telling us, Chico's telling us to get it over. It's 8:58. We got to have this thing wrapped up so we can try to get this thing with the copyright coming up for editing purposes at 9. And we don't want to, and I'm trying not to go over. But what if the other scenario, perspective, here we go. What if the rest of the matches are quick and people fuck up early on and we go on at fucking 8:25 and now we got 35 minutes? That's going to change how we got to work the crowd and how we got to build. We got to get more time out of it because I'm trying to go home. We did the summer stroll and I wanted it to end at 9. I wanted 8 to 9. And me and Tempo are going out there to wrestle, and we could have wrestled past the time. But when the guys came through the curtain, I said, hey, guys, I said, you only left us 7 minutes. Oh, we're sorry. And they're like, yeah, but is there really a time on it? And I said, in my head, there is a time. Because the way I run my shop is I'm trying to get my shop, my vision, my shit locked down so that I can present PCW Limelight as a 2-hour presentation to a cable company or to a streaming service. And when you do the streaming service, it's no longer about filming it, taking it home, having the producers edit it perfectly, and throwing out whatever time you want to throw out there. It's like, okay, we're getting paid a lot of money now with sponsors and a streaming service. You have 1 hour. You have 1 hour live with live commentary in it, whatever you want to squeeze into this program that you think is going to make this a watchable show that's going to get ratings and you can stay on the program. You get it done in this time. You don't get to go, I'm going to go over a little bit. No, you don't get that. You don't get that option. So for me, for the last 5 years, I've really been stressing. I wouldn't say stressing. I've just been really adamant about, let's do this the right way and teach these guys the right way to do all of this. Because if you go to WWE and you go over your time and you fuck a main eventer, guess what? That's going to be the last time you work for that company.
Right. Well, and I think people don't understand like the amount of money that these time slots cost. You know, the big one obviously is the Super Bowl, and people talk about how much commercial space cost and things like that. But you know, it's the same when you're talking about a television show running, you know, their live broadcasts. It's like you know, those extra, you might think it's only an extra 30 seconds, but it's like, guess how much a 30-second commercial costs, you know? In some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So it's, you know, you don't think of it as money unless you're paying for it, or you're trying to run a 30-second commercial on, you know, your local television station. Then you realize, oh shit, man, this time is money. Realistically, time is money, you know. So
it is,
yeah. So it's one of those deals, and I remember we used to do a drill like that, where it's like, okay, well, here's your, you know, you have 2 minutes, and you got to see how close you can come to finishing it with the 1, 2, 3 as you go off the air, right? So doing those type of things within your wrestling school, I think, are very important as well. We used to do a drill where you'd have to finish off a certain rope as well, right? Because, you know, a lot of times it's people, I would say people ask me questions about that. It's like, why are you grab a guy facing a certain way, why are you spinning so you have the finish happen on a specific rope? And it's like, well, it's just it's a television thing, right? It's when you're taping for a television program, they want the finish to happen on a certain rope, or they want the finish to happen at a certain time, and you have to make those adaptations. A lot of times we just make it on the fly because you can do it, but we also like to run drills to try to replicate that. You know, this finish has to happen off of this particular rope, and we're gonna have a 30-second countdown of when this whole scenario has to happen, and let's see if you can get it done, right?
I make my
Because
guy stand there.
right,
I make my guy stand in the ring and cover two corners and leave one rope open. I make them work that way.
right,
By design.
yeah.
I make them work that way. Well,
I think that's important. Like it's the production side of it. It's the television stuff. And I remember like Ugly has a lot of experience working in Oregon with different television promotions and products and things like that. So when we were talking about trying to do something on television, he's just like, hey, let me know if you need some help, you know. with my experience, I would love to lend that experience to you guys to try to help production wise, how it goes down for a television product. So I always thought that's exciting to know that you have people out there that are willing to help, that have experience in that particular corner of the thing, though. So but we do have just 5 more minutes left on this podcast, as this time has just flown by again.
Speaking of podcasts, I was listening to JD and NY 209. I listened to a lot of different wrestling podcasts. Even before we started, I was listening to podcasts originally. It's something that I really got into and I wanted to be a part of. And here we are, this many episodes in. But I hear him on there, and it's so funny because he's going, 2 hours of wrestling, and I had to listen, and I only got to see an hour and 20 minutes of wrestling, and I had to see almost an hour of commercials, and then it cuts off, and his show cuts off, and it goes to commercial. And then it's like, if I don't hit the skip button, or if I'm in the shower listening to it or something, the fucking commercial's over 3 minutes long. But then I hit the skip button, and then he starts talking again, a lot of these podcasters, and then it goes to another commercial. And I'm sitting here going, you know why it's going to commercial, fuckhead? It's going to commercial because that's how you're putting money in your bank. That's how you're getting, because people are paying for that slot time on your shit. So as you're bitching about not getting to watch enough wrestling on Peacock or whatever it is, Monday Night Raw on Netflix keeps going to commercial. It keeps going to commercial because that's how the show keeps going. It's like the fans out there, and it's like your friends that go, hey, man, can I get a free ticket to the show? I'll come watch. No, the friends that want the free tickets all the time, respectfully, because if you're my friend and you want to come support me, the best way to support me is to buy your fucking tickets. You want to support even more? Buy some food and some beverage from the snack bar. Get some raffle tickets. If there's some merchandise, buy that. There's nothing worse in my mind than somebody that complains about having no money, and then you see them on Facebook posting close to the front row at Golden One Center or WrestleMania watching a goddamn wrestling event or a concert, and they're sitting there with a $20 beer and a $15 hot dog that you know they had to pay the parking out there. It's like, do you know how many people say that they're my friends and they, you know what I do now? They come up to me and go, hey, man, still doing that wrestling? Yeah. Oh, man, when's the next show? Maybe I'll check it out. No, we're good. And I walk away. How's life? I'm out of here. You're not going to come. Why are you even wasting my fucking time? That's what I've learned through this recovery, man. Patience. And I got a ticket. Because I didn't realize that they just lost 16 days ago that if you're touching your phone, they immediately give you a $600 ticket and like a point off your license, and you got to go to court because so many deaths and bad accidents was the number one cause from texting. And I got. And you know what I did? Nothing. I didn't try to fight it. I didn't argue or nothing. You know why? Because I was wrong. And that's what's going on right now. And if you're listening out there, whether you're a fan or a wrestler, you like me, you hate me, whatever, we are in a time where everyone's like, oh, the economy's low, this and that. It's not cheap to run these wrestling shows. It's not cheap to devote our time and try to teach professional wrestlers. We are teaching you because that's what it's come down to. Roland Alexander had it right. We are teaching you guys for pennies on the dollar how to do this thing that we put our life on the line to show you how to do it. And you can't even show the fuck up. You can't even buy it. You want a free ticket? You want a free ticket to an event that's costing me $4,000 to $6,000 with payroll and everything to run? It's like, geez, come on, man. We got to go to commercial. You got to have it. I'm praying for the day that we can go to commercial and have some sponsor ads up on this damn thing, because that means that we're making some money and we're not spending money to do it.
That's it, man.
Fuck.
It's obviously it's called advertising dollars, right? That's what you get to try to keep your program running, and it's showing that your show has value, right? That people want to spend money to have their product advertised on your show. So we got
And
to
if you're
close it out,
listening,
man.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for all you. And when I get there, when I show up at your show, when I show up at the training, for Zack Primetime Reeb and the Wrecking Ball, motherfucker, I'm gonna be going over.